I'm just gonna, just a disclaimer. The second half of this episode sounds a lot clearer just because I'm a lot more closer to the mic now. So for future episodes, I'm gonna have to make sure to get right up on this bitch so you can hear everything I say. You can hear my breathing. So sexy. But I know you can hear me. Love it. You can hear my wife doing dishes in the background. Pots and pans clinking. This motherfucking mic is good. So I'm gonna make sure to be up on this fucking mic for the next episodes. Enjoy. What's up, home team? Episode 1, James Day Off Podcast, coming to you live from Little Texas. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about today. So today was the second day back at school for the kids. I took my youngest two to their elementary school, and then today, it was yesterday, and then today we took our oldest to his first day of middle school, which is at Roosevelt. It's all the way on the outside of town. If you know what that is, you know what that is, right? Now that the house is empty again, now, got time to do all kinds of shit. Now that the house is empty, there's no kids running around. So I finished I finished a book I've been reading for, quite some time now. I've been procrastinating, putting it off and on. I'll read a couple of pages here and there, and I'll, just reading gets me incredibly fucking sleepy, so it took me a while to finish. But I finished that. I finished my book. I finished taking my notes and, refreshed what I read, and got that done now that the kids are back in school, so there's that. Also, something that happened today, my brother, we share both of our light bills, his address and my address is under my name, so it's all, under one account, but he gets the information for some reason. It's weird as fuck, he gets the info, it's under my name, but it's for both of us. And we're under contract with Octopus Energy, which was one of the many electricity companies that you could go with, and that would just auto-enrolled us because we were too lazy to pick one, figure out what's what, the ins and outs of all the different electric companies, which is crazy to note that, there's so many fucking electricity companies after LP&L, did away with providing electric service, or however that goes. But there was over like 20, probably between 10 and 20, maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 electricity companies, which is fucking crazy. Somehow we got roped into Octopus Energy. The motherfucker sent me the bill today, and my first bill was like $160, and the second one was $210, and now my third bill is $299, and I don't feel like I'm using any more electricity now than I was when I first got signed up to these motherfuckers. So I don't know what's going on. My fucking bill, it's just getting higher and higher. So, that's one thing that really chapped my ass today, since we are talking about today, in fact. I think that's all that's, really been going on today as far as notable things. I don't lead a very interesting life yet. So that's about today. So let's talk about last week. Last week, your boy put in 50 fucking hours, 50 hours at work, for counting Monday, the weekly pay period. Put in 50 hours and change. That's 10 hours overtime. Your 40 hours is regular. Anything after that's overtime. For those of you who don't know, if you don't have a job, that's what that's about. 50 hours total, right? And, getting back into, but getting ready for NFL football season. Right now we're in preseason, but preseason nonetheless. We had our first preseason big game, which was the Cowboys. Being that we live here in Texas, most people love the Dallas Cowboys. So that was interesting, right? I went, and then I went from working nights to days to nights again, and then now I do a combination of both. And then, this week that we're in right now, they finally put me back to an all-day schedule. So, I got that going for me, and that's, been a fucking transition in itself, because naturally I'm a daytime person. I'm a morning person, so I prefer the day shift over the night shift. Not to say that I don't like working nights. I guess I don't. Is what I'm trying to say in so many words. I don't like the night shift, but I will work it because that's where all the hours are. There's a lot of cleaning that has to be done after these fucking degenerates leave after closing time from the bar. So the hours are there overnight. I make a little bit more money at night as opposed to daytime. But daytime, you know, I have I've developed a routine for setting up and transitioning into the, you know, getting the guys to transition into the night shift. And I just, you know, I like the daytime better in general. I just feel like I'm more productive as a daytime person. I'm more in a good mood. You know, more pleasant to be around in the daytime, if you will. If I'm pleasant at all, I don't know. If you know me, you know. If you don't, you don't. Fuck you. So, you know, that happened this past week. More about the Dallas Cowboy game here further into this episode. So, you know, gonna get into doing this every week. Bear with me because the first episodes, they are in fact gonna suck. You gotta do all the sucking pause at the beginning of your, you know, when you're starting out. So some, you know, a handful of these are gonna suck as opposed to the ones when I get into my group down the line. So bear with me on that. Nonetheless, with that being said, you know, like I said, I'm gonna be bringing you an episode every week and just different topics, stuff to listen to while you're at work or you're driving, you're on a commute, something, whatever you're doing. You just need to fill some time with some entertainment. This is what that's going to be about. So I'll have different topics for you every week. These, you know, first few topics are going to be, you know, somewhat of an introduction to, you know, myself and, you know, everything that I do, where I'm from, that type of stuff. So I'm going to give you 2 reasons why I'm starting this podcast. Reason number 1 is I don't really like, I don't like most people, and I don't like talking to most people just because I feel like I don't have a lot in common with the people that I'm currently around. Oh, excuse me. Fuck me. That was a yawn. You know, the people that I'm around most of my days, most of the time during these days at work, I don't really have a lot in common with them, so I don't really like talking to them unless I have to. Also to say that, you know, I'm trying to work on my people skills, so I guess I should like talking to them eventually, but I just don't vibe. I get, you know, the word that the kids are using these days. I don't vibe well with most people these days. So with that being said, I do like talking. In my head, I have a lot to say, but because I'm not a people person, I don't really talk much in social situations. So, you know, this will be my outlet for talking. Second reason why I'm doing this is I'm 31 now, and since I was 25, I've been working on a plan for my life, which I'll get into in the next episode and episodes after that. So, you know, obviously I plan on being alive for a while. So, of course, my plan takes place over the long run. And every day that I'm not working, my day job, earning money and saving money, which is a big part of my plan, because you need money to make money for the most part. It's not always the case, but in terms of what I'm planning to do, I need money. So every day that I'm not working and I'm not, like I said, earning money and saving, I will be building something in the meantime, and that's what this is all about. Doing something in the meantime, you know, having patience while I'm working on my plan. So this podcast, this is going to be a small part of the big picture, but nonetheless, it is part of the big picture. So those are my 2 reasons for why I'm doing this podcast, which is again titled Jamie's Day Off Podcast. I'll be doing this on my day off. Duh. Now, topic number 2, and this gets into where I'm from, because I am in fact from Lubbock, Texas. I was born in Lamesa, Texas. It's about 60 miles south from Lubbock, Texas, where I live. I've lived, half my life in Lamesa. I grew up, and then the other half, my adult life, I've been here in Lubbock. So while I've been here, and I really enjoy living here in Lubbock. But while I've been living here, as long as I've been living here, everywhere that I've worked and the people that I've come across, I always hear this one common complaint, and that's that they don't like people don't like living here in Lubbock, right? That's the complaint. I don't like living here in Lubbock. And you know, it's life here compared to the big cities that I've traveled to throughout my life. Like I said, I'm 31 and I've been to a few places. Here in Texas, I've been to other big cities like San Antonio, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've been through fucking Austin, Texas, all the way down to South Padre, Corpus Christi area. I've been, through all these places and all those big cities, with the exception of Corpus and South Padre, but it was smaller than Lubbock. But in terms of the other big places, San Antonio, Dallas-Fort Worth, and Austin, what those have in common with the other big places that I've been, which I've been to Denver, Colorado, all throughout, Denver. I visited up there. Las Vegas, I've been there. I've been to all the way up as far as New York City. I've been to, we landed in, where the fuck did we land? We landed in Newark, New Jersey, and from there we got a ride, an Uber to Staten Island. We stayed in Staten Island, and from Staten Island, we took, we stayed. The hotel was in Staten Island, so we stayed our days there, and we were there for 4 days, 3-4 days, and we would take a bus from the hotel all the way to the ferry station. Like I said, there at Staten Island, and from there we took a ferry to Manhattan, which the ferry gets it docks in the financial district of Wall Street. There at the bottom of Manhattan, and from Manhattan all the way we traversed, or whatever. We went from the financial district all the way up to Times Square, from Times Square all the way up to fucking Central Park area, all the way to Brooklyn. We took the train from the Central Park area, took the train all the way to Brooklyn, down to Coney Island, where we went to the beach in Coney Island. We went to the aquarium in Coney Island, and from there back to Times Square. Times Square, got a bus back to the ferry station back to Staten Island, and then the bus ride all the way back to the hotel. And that shit takes, no bullshit, that took 2 hours, maybe even more. Took 2-3 hours, all said and done. Like, if I had to condense all the traveling into one time frame, it takes about 3 hours to get to all those points in one day and back. Not to mention all the time you spend walking and visiting the sites and all those places that I mentioned. But the traveling and noticing all the cars, all the traffic in all the big cities that I mentioned, just previously. All those big cities, what they have in common is the amount of time you spend in traffic. Like I said, the bus ride, and we rode the bus so I'll take that back. Let me start again. When we went to Vegas, we drove from Texas to Las Vegas, and when we got to Vegas, you come in from, you cross the Hoover Dam, come into the south of Las Vegas, and we ended up at the south part of the Strip, and we drove from the south part of the Strip all the way to the Strat Hotel, which is where we stayed, which is at the north end of the Strip, but it's at the opposite end of the Strip, so one end to the other. And just driving from the South Point to the Strat Hotel, man, that took at least 30 minutes, traffic wise, man. Like, you'd see a green light, and 2, 3, 4, 5 cars would pass through the intersection, and at a time. And I'm telling you, like, it was, and the fucking Strip is, if you've never been to Las Vegas, the Strip, when you look at it on pictures or videos or on YouTube and stuff like that, it doesn't look like a long stretch of travel, but when you're in the motherfucking travel in a car, and then again later on after we got to the hotel, we started taking the bus up and down the strip. But needless to say, that whole fucking strip is a motherfucker to get through, and not to mention the amount of construction that goes on in these big cities on these streets that get traveled, very often. It was a pain in the ass. It was a long time in traffic. Is my point. Traffic in Vegas, traffic in New York, even in Denver. Where the fuck? We landed at the airport in Denver, and then from the airport it's like an hour. No, it wasn't an hour. It's probably like 35, 40 minutes from the airport to, I'd say, like downtown area ish, where Coors Field is. Where all the attractions are, in the center of actual Denver, Colorado. So it was a 30-minute train ride. Had we taken a fucking a car or an Uber, a Lyft, or a bus ride from the airport to where we stayed at the hotel in downtown Denver, it would have taken a good hour, to get there and from, because of all the stoplights and stop signs and all the other cars making that same travel, that same commute. That's the word I'm looking for. Son of a bitch. Takes a long time in traffic in all these big cities. Austin too. I took my brother to pick up a car. We drove from Lubbock to Austin, and through Austin to get to this fucking car dealership where he picked up his car. But man, I'm telling you, the highways were jam packed as far as the eye could see, bumper to bumper. It's hard to merge in and out of any of these lanes. The traffic was terrible. I lived in San Antonio for a little bit after I graduated high school, and I was out there for a few months staying with a friend. And same thing, man. Like, to get from anywhere in San Antonio, whichever part you live in, to get to another part, like we stayed. Everybody likes to visit the Riverwalk in San Antonio. Sure enough, that's what we would do from time to time. But from where my homeboy stayed to the Riverwalk was a commute in itself, and it took 30 minutes each way, taking the highways. And San Antonio, I will admit, it wasn't as bad a traffic as Denver, Vegas, and Austin and New York, but it was bad nonetheless, as opposed to, and it brings it back to where what the whole point of this was, which was Lubbock, Texas. Lubbock, Texas, man, you can get from one point of Lubbock to the other in less than 10 minutes, 15 minutes, taking the loop. Especially like where I live, which is more central Lubbock-ish, to where I work, which is on the west loop of Lubbock. It takes me less than, depending how fast I'm driving. Obviously, sometimes I like to drive fast, but if I'm not driving fast, if I'm not in a hurry, if I'm just going to pick up my check or pick up some money from work, it takes me 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. Rush hour traffic, maybe 20 minutes, maybe. It's traffic is not that bad here in Lubbock as opposed to these big cities, right? So that's one thing, that why I like living in Lubbock. Not to say that I wouldn't like to live in one of these other big cities, because there is a lot of stuff to do in these other big cities. But you don't spend a lot of time in traffic here in Lubbock. That's a very good thing, because traffic makes people fucking crazy. People lose their shit in traffic. Merging in and out, trying to get on and off exits and shit like that. People get a little crazy, man. It's not good. Road rage is a real thing, and I've dealt with it. You've dealt with it, I'm sure, at different points in your fucking life. So that's not as bad. The traffic is not as bad here in Lubbock as opposed to those other places. What else? The cost of living. So I live in a house right now, and over the years, as I've lived on my own, or with roommates or whatever, the rent and anywhere that I've lived has not been. It's not bad at all. Like when I first got an apartment, we got an apartment and it was all bills paid. And I think we paid it was $675 total, all bills paid, for a 2-bedroom apartment. Like I said, still in the central area of Lubbock. And then over the years, into where I am now, which I'm into a full blown house. I'm in a house, and even now I pay $1,000. I pay almost $1,100 with insurance for my, and it's a rental. Keep that in mind. I pay renter's insurance, and then on top of my rent, and then my pet insurance. I pay a little less than $1,100, and obviously I pay bills and stuff like that. But on top of that, but in terms of what you pay for living in a place, it's not bad as opposed to other the other cities that I mentioned, which is where everybody would like to live. These big cities. Dallas Fort Worth is one where I hear people would love to live. Which I have a fucking story about Dallas. I've always had bad luck in Dallas, but that's for a different. That's another episode. But Dallas is always one. Austin is another one. Being that we live here in Texas, where people want to live. I've yet to hear Houston, or Corpus Christi area, which is down by the beach. Houston, a little bit away from the beach, but still closer to the beach than Dallas and Austin. Also San Antonio. You don't hear people want to live in San Antonio, even though it's a big fucking city. I think it's one of the biggest cities and growing in the U.S. So you don't hear that. It's just Dallas, Fort Worth area, and Austin, Texas. So the cost of living in those places alone compared to Lubbock, I'm pretty sure, man, you're paying double over there in those cities as opposed to here. And that's, just in an apartment. I'm pretty sure you would pay double what I pay for a house here in Lubbock. You'd pay over there for an apartment. Probably not even a 2-bedroom. And my house is 4 bedrooms, and it's not in a bad part of town at all. But it's not in like the nicer neighborhoods here in Lubbock. The south side that's growing, the Cooper, Friendship areas, the west side, where everything's expanding to. It's not as nice as those places, but it's a good part of town. There's not a lot of trouble over here. So I have a 4-bedroom house I pay almost $1,100 for, and when you go live in one of these other big cities, you're gonna pay double that for less than the amount of space that I have in the house that I have here. Now, if you go to like I said, the other cities that I mentioned, Las Vegas, Denver, the New York area, you move to like fucking Florida, the big cities in Florida, which oddly enough, where I'm from here in Texas, I've never heard of anybody wanting to move to. They never think that big. Moving to those type of big cities. It's always just another big city here in fucking Texas, or it's always been a city in Colorado, Pueblo, Colorado, Springs, or Denver, just because they have they've legalized weed in Denver. A lot of people that I know and I've grown up with have moved to those parts of Colorado just because of that reason. Got into that the cannabis industry in Colorado. But other than that, people don't want to move to, like I said, the other cities that I mentioned outside of Texas, which is it's crazy, man, because being that I've visited there and that other people, that I come across now in my adult life, they visit these places, but they're never trying to move to those places. Wonder why that is. So, like I said, the cost of living here compared to those places is a lot cheaper than living there. So, that's another thing that Lubbock has going for it. Now, I will say that, going back as it pertains to cost of living, most people have bad money habits, especially the people that I know now. A lot of people have bad money habits, so if you can't manage your money right while you live in a place where it's affordable here in Lubbock, Texas, how the fuck do these people expect to make it in a bigger city, where they want to be? I'm sorry to tell you, man, you're gonna have a fucking hard time affording life and enjoying that quality of life in a big city if you can't do it here where it is affordable. So, that's, like I said, Lubbock is affordable, and if you can't do it here, how are you going to do it there? Now, back to the cons of Lubbock, Texas. Like I said, there is a lack of attractions here in Lubbock. I will say that. That's 100%. And this past summer, for whatever fucking reason, man, all the pools, the public swimming pools have closed here in Lubbock. So the only place you can be able to go swimming is at a fucking, if you have a membership to a private pool, or you live in an apartment complex, you know somebody that has an apartment complex, or you have one of those above ground pools, an inflatable pool, something like that. It's the only way you can be able to go swimming. And now they have one fucking splash park. I think it's what they call it. They opened one down at Maxi Park. One. And then we used to have, what did we have? We had the pool in the Arna Benson. We had Clap. Where the fuck? I know we had another one. Oh, the pool at Maxi Park. And there may have been another one somewhere else. Maybe like on the east side or something like that. But I don't go to the east side. It's neither here nor there. But all of those pools have fucking closed this summer for maintenance, for whatever fucking reason, shortage of funding, whatever. That also sucks. So with the lack of attractions that we already had, and we used to have an amusement park called Joyland, which was fun for what it was. It's no Six Flags, but it was a good time. They closed that bitch down. The family that owned it, and then they sold it. Now it's just I think they auctioned off a lot of the stuff. Or I read that they were going to have an auction for the equipment that they had there. They had there at the amusement park. I'm not sure if they've done that, but they closed that bitch down. They closed the pools down. I think we still have Texas Water Rampage. I think is what the fuck it's called. I don't know. I've never been there. I've lived here almost half my life, and I've never been there. Because I've heard it's too expensive. We were going to go this past summer, but I've heard it was too expensive. It's like $20 fucking a person for a small lazy river and a big slide. Fuck all that. I got 5 people to pay for. I'm not paying over $100 to go sit in some fucking water. So we have that. Other than that, we've got we got driving ranges. They got fucking Dave and Buster's main event type places where you can go play video games, Copper Caboose, arcade style games. We've got a lot of bars and stuff like that, but it's nothing that's gonna it's nothing that really stands out. Which I guess, in other big cities they have the same things. As, main event, Dave and Buster's type places, We have, what is that place called? Adventure Park. That's a good place. We took my son there for his birthday, and, they've been expanding that place. So that's a good place, but it is pricey, but it's they got a lot more to offer than, main event and Water Rampage, whatever the fuck it's called. Maybe we'll get back to going there. I'll do a video eventually of what that place is like. So that's a cool place. Other than that, there's not really a lot to do. We have Buffalo Lake, but it's like 15 miles outside of Lubbock. You got to pay to get in. It's a nice lake. You can go swimming in that lake. Boats, fishing type stuff. But it is 15 miles outside of Lubbock. And if you're not going to be there all day, there's really no point in really going out there. It's cool to go every now and then, like 4th of July, and I think New Year's they have Cinco de Mayo also. They have a lot of they have a car show. They have a little car cruise that goes through there. Little concerts, Tejano music. FMX does. They have a concert there at the amphitheater. That's pretty cool. I've never actually been to one, but I've been at Buffalo Lake when they were going on. You can hear the music in the background and the food vendors and stuff like that. It's a lot of. It sounds like a lot. It looks like a lot of fun. Sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe I'll get around to doing that too. Make a video for that. But you don't go there all the time. Is what I'm trying to say. We have South Plains Fair, which comes in September. And that's pretty cool, man. It's always cool to go to the fair, but it is pricey as well. So, other than that, man, there's not a whole lot to do. It's just bars, family restaurants that got little arcades in them. Places like that. It's not a whole lot to do. It's a lack of attractions. So, like if you were to go to Vegas, obviously the fun that is in Vegas. And Denver, Austin, San Antonio. The Houston area, all those places have zoos, they have aquariums, they have actual amusement parks, Six Flags, that type of stuff. They have those type of places in those big cities. So I can see how people would want to go to those big cities to do those type of things. We don't have those here in Lubbock. We're not as big a city as those other big cities, but there is a lack of attractions here. But if you ain't, like I said, it goes back to the fucking money habits of people. If you don't have good money habits, how you gonna afford to do any of those things anyway? Even if they were here in Lubbock, so go fuck yourself. On the lack of attractions, you know, and like I said, I'm from a small town. It's called Lamesa, Texas, and it's a fucking population of less than 10,000 people, and I think it's gotten smaller since I've moved from there. But being that I'm from a town like that, we only had we had a Walmart that's no longer open. That was like the biggest fucking thing that we had in that town was Walmart. And then other than that, we got McDonald's, Sonic, Dairy Queen. What the fuck else did we have when I was growing up? K-Bob's, a little steakhouse. That's it. That was it, man. And then the other big things that we had was United and Claiborne's, which is a family version of United supermarkets, and even the United there was fucking small. It's literally half the size of the Uniteds that you see here in Lubbock. That you go to here in Lubbock, small as fuck. The Walmart was even half the size of a Walmart that's here in Lubbock. But like I said, even that bitch closed down because Lamesa is such a small town, and people would leave Lamesa to come to Lubbock, or they would go the opposite direction and go to the Midland, Odessa area to visit those Walmarts to get whatever they needed, and it was just a chance also to get out of Lamesa. So that's probably another reason. That is another reason why the Walmart in Lamesa closed down. They had a skating rink. They had a drive-in movie theater, which was pretty cool. I used to work there when I was younger. That was always a cool place to go to. Drive-in movie theater. You sneak in yourself a little hoochie hooch, little boozer. If you were smoking weed at the time when that bitch was open, park all the way in the back, get high, come to the fucking, get drunk, catch a buzz, come into the snack bar, and they were known for their snack bar, man. They had a lot of good food, chihuahuas, corn fritters, char burgers. Oh, that bitch was delicious just thinking about it. But even that bitch closed, so there's not a lot to do there, and it was a small town. I have more of an appreciation for Lubbock, Texas. Being from a small town, and Lubbock's called the Hub City, and if you don't know, it's called the Hub City because it's right in the middle of a major. It's in between. It's in the middle of a major transportation intersection. To get you. The highways in and out of Lubbock to get you to the major parts of the other parts of Texas and the rest of the country. So. As well as that, we're known for being the hub for healthcare, education, and employment opportunities. There's a lot of employment opportunities, a bunch of different places that you can work, but it's a major place to find work. Like I said, healthcare, we got a bunch of major hospitals, and then on top of that we have Texas Tech University, which feeds into all of those things. It's a major employer. They feed into the healthcare professions, business professions. We have Texas Tech Athletics, which they do pretty good on the national spotlight, which I'll get into here in a sec why that's important, the national spotlight, because of Texas Tech. But all of those things is why they call the Hub City the Hub City. I might be leaving out a few things, but for the most part, those are the important ones. And being that it's called the Hub City, I would more so refer to it as Dream City, because with all the employment opportunities and the opportunities to further your education, you can put those together. You find a good place of employment, you develop good money habits because of the cost of living here, the low cost of living here and On top of that, if you have a plan for trying to get out of Lubbock, and you use the national spotlight that's on Lubbock because of Texas Tech, all those things combined, you can make your dreams and your goals come true here in this city. Um, Case in point, the biggest name to come out of Lubbock was Patrick Mahomes. He was from Tyler, Texas, which is a smaller city than Lubbock is. He's from a smaller city. Came to Texas Tech. Look at that! You can hear my kids fucking screaming in the living room now that they're home from school. But Patrick Mahomes from Tyler, Texas, came to Texas Tech to play football, and ended up getting drafted to the NFL, becoming a 3-time Super Bowl champion. And, God damn it! I just look at the lady knows I'm in here recording. She's calling the goddamn cat. 3-time Super Bowl champion and became a multimillionaire because of all those factors. But I feel like being from Texas Tech and playing well here at Texas Tech with that national spotlight helped him to achieve his goals of playing in the NFL and eventually being one of the highest paid quarterbacks that there is in the NFL. So if that's not inspiration, being that he made it out of Lubbock on that big of a scale, then I don't know what is, man. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that you have to make it out on that big of a scale, or do it that big on that big of a scale. But it is possible. Like I said, all with employment, education, good money habits, a plan, the national spotlight, all those things. This is a place to make your dreams come true, if you think about it from that point of view, which is how I do. And eventually, I this will always be home, but eventually hope to make it out and retire, partially, somewhere else, which we'll get into when I get into my plan in the next episodes. So, speaking of Super Bowl champs in the NFL, this brings me to my next topic, which is two things that I love. One, I love NFL football, and two, I love betting on NFL football games. And my team happens to be the 3-time Super Bowl champs, the Denver Broncos. That's 97, 98, John Elway, 2015 with Peyton Manning. And, being from and living in Texas, which is Dallas Cowboy country, my dad was always been a Cowboy fan. My little brother is a Cowboy fan. I think my older brother was a Cowboy fan when he was younger, but he became a Colts fan. So that's something entirely different. Those cocksuckers, they suck even worse than the Cowboys. But being that everybody loves the Cowboys here in Texas, I chose to go against the grain at an early age, and I went with the Broncos. Now, it's nothing against the Cowboys. I don't really mind the Cowboys as a team. I don't mind them themselves. What I have a problem with, especially these days, is the fans, Dallas Cowboy fans. Now, I'm a realist. I'll just say that as it pertains to the Denver Broncos. I can always admit when I know it's not going to be a good season, or when it's not a good season, I can admit I'm a realist. I can be real about that. If it's not our season, I'll admit it. You guys, if you're a Cowboy fan, which most likely, if you're listening to this, you are a Dallas Cowboy fan. You guys are something else. You're a different animal, and I mean animal to the fullest extent. You guys are fucking crazy. You guys have this blind faith in that football team. Every year, you think it's your year after a win. Even with a loss, it's always your year. I don't understand that. You guys are fucking way too emotionally invested, and I know you've seen the videos on Facebook, Instagram, and that type of stuff of fights breaking out at the Cowboy Stadium there in Arlington. Cowboy fans fighting the other team fans. Because you guys are losing. Even if you're not losing or you win, it's just you guys always happen to like to fight about yours. You guys are crazy. You guys get mad defensive. What I mean by defensive is like anytime I get into an argument with a Cowboy fan, you always hear the, you must be a fan because you talk about the Cowboys so much. That's the argument, and I've gotten into that argument multiple times with my little brother. I like to ride his ass. Pause. Uh, about the fucking Cowboys. I just love to give him shit about them, win or lose. And that's always his argument. You talk about the Cowboy fan so much, you must be a fucking. You talk about the Cowboys, you must be a fan. This type of shit, but it's we live in Texas, and Dallas. The Cowboys are supposedly America's teams, but the Cowboys haven't been good for damn near 30 years. Of course, I'm going to talk about them, and those who aren't Cowboy fans are going to talk about them. We're tired of hearing about it, and we got to give you shit about it. Even if our team's good or bad, love to give the Cowboy fans shit, and that's the reason why. It's because we live in cowboy fucking country, bro. It just goes to show, like, everybody was so excited about with preseason starting. The Cowboys were the first major game on this past Sunday. They were the first major game. Well, the game that most people wanted to see. There's a big Chiefs fan base here in Lubbock. Obviously because Mahomes is from here and that's where he went. But they didn't show up more that much for that one. But the Cowboy fucking game, the preseason game, man, they showed up where I work, because I work in a sports bar type environment. And, they showed up not bright and early. They were there, probably like an hour before the game. They started showing up, and we had the pregame shit on, and right up until game time, the fucking signal blacked out for the channel that the Cowboy game was supposed to come on. It was blacked out in our area for whatever reason. It was just a massive blackout on that channel, and you could hear it in the crowd, man. Everybody seated at the bar, at tables and stuff like that, where you got to move in and out of. You could hear, that people were getting restless. They were getting fucking annoyed that the management couldn't find the fucking game. They couldn't get the game to come on, and eventually they did get it to come on, and then you could hear the mood shift from fucking annoyed to they were relieved that now, oh yeah, I get to watch the fucking Cowboys, sons of bitches. And they were happy to see the game, and it was a back and forth game between the Rams. It was just like I said, mind you, it's preseason, but it was a field goal game all the way through to the end. And the last fucking last play of the game, the Rams quarterback throws a fucking touchdown there. Like I said, literally at the very end of the game, and they fucking win. And I'm just, it just goes to say, man, even with the people that you drafted, it doesn't look like it might not be your fucking year again. You might try to start living with that. Doesn't look like it's going to be a good year. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it might be a good year. Like I said, I have nothing against the Cowboys. Cowboys are a better than decent team, and more times than none, they finish with a better record than the Broncos do. But then, like I said, I'm a realist. If it's not our year, I can admit it. But it's not, like I said again. It's nothing against the Cowboys. They're a better than decent team. If they go to the Super Bowl against anybody, if they were to go to the Super Bowl, I would probably root for the Cowboys. Not on some bandwagon shit, but just represent for Texas. It's my gripe is with the fans, and you cocksuckers know how you are. You know how you can be. So. Cowboy fans, but I digress. Like I said, I love sports betting, and that's the other thing that I love. As it pertains to the second topic that I'm talking about. So, I'm looking forward to another season. I'm looking forward to potentially, I'm looking forward to betting, and I'll tell you how I do that in just a second. But I like to bet on sports. Looking forward to potentially winning some cash. So stay tuned for, my bets and. My commentary on the football season as it goes through. So, speaking of bets, I got a friend, my buddy. His name is Carmine. I've known Carmine since I was in middle school from back home, and after high school, Carmine moved to Las Vegas. And Texas hasn't legalized gambling. They haven't legalized online sports betting. So Carmine, being that he lives in Las Vegas, where it is legal. He places bets for me, or I'll do it when I go there in person and visit. But for the most part, like I said, he places bets on my behalf. I pay for, I'll pay like a portion of his light bill or something like that, and then he'll place bets on my behalf, and he'll pay me out if and when I should win, which I have. So we got a good system going. I don't necessarily, send him money. I don't send him money for bets. He'll just place, a parlay bet, $1 here and there for me, and I'll win, $20, $30 here and there. If I'm lucky, which I have been, I've won $200, $300 a couple of times. So we got a good system down with Carmine. So being the degenerate gambler that I am, and if you come across me at work, I love to fucking bet people at work, especially Cowboy fans. Like I said, as it brings it back to that. A lot of Cowboy fans, and I'll bet Cowboy fans all day, man, because Cowboys are more times than none they're gonna choke. And when they do, I like to capitalize on that, like the degenerate that I am, the gambler that I am. So I'll bet at work, with coworkers and shit, and then Carmine does it for me there in Vegas. So I got a good system down, like I said. The regular season starts September 8th, or the first full Sunday where regular football will be played, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to be paying attention through preseason, how my team does, of course, and then I'll be paying attention to my team, the Broncos, and then I'll be paying attention to the Cowboys, because like I said, there's always Cowboy fans willing to take action on that. And then, as well as, all the other teams. There's going to be last year was a lot of good fucking football, man. A lot of good football. 49ers made it as far as they did. There's a lot of teams that went to the playoffs that don't normally go to the playoffs. They were playing fucking really good football. Detroit, they did fucking good. You hear my son yelling in the background, yelling his crazy head off. Got all that energy from school. Now he's letting it out. Now that he's home. But a lot of good football played last year. So I'm looking forward to, all the additions that the teams made this year during the draft. I'm looking forward to seeing how they do. And, I'll be paying attention through preseason as I did last week into this week and the couple of weeks that we have left in preseason into the first full Sunday, which is September 8th. So, stay tuned for my bets, my progress or the lack thereof. If that happens to be the case, it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. So, stay tuned for that. That's it for this week, episode 1. I look forward to talking to you guys next week here on James Day Off Podcast. Until then, have a good week. Peace.